Hello, Africa. Welcome to the AU Youth Corner podcasts from the Youth Division of the African Union Commission. My name is Amanda and I lead youth engagement at the AUC. In these series of conversations, I'm going to be speaking to some of my colleagues about their ideas, philosophies, and work in the Youth Division of the African Union Commission. Hi, everyone. So today we have Daniel Adugna, who is our youth program officer, and he leads the African Union Youth Volunteer Corps program. And Daniel is going to speak to us today about how some of the work that he does leads into employment and entrepreneurship, and some of the considerations for young people, employment, entrepreneurship, as well as engagement, and some of the considerations for young people. Daniel, can you tell us a bit about where you're from, who you are, what you've done, and what you currently do in the youth division?
All right. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So, as already mentioned, I am Daniel Adugna and working with the African Union on youth programs. I am from Ethiopia myself. So, I am someone who considers myself at the far end of the youth spectrum currently. So this year, 2020, actually, I would be exiting the youth bracket, and actually, it's both with excitement, but also a sense of accomplishment that I'm arriving at this point, so to speak. And that's actually for two reasons. I consider my entire journey with the African Union. So together with starting from internship, then working with the UN initially, and being seconded to the African Union, and later on working on youth programs directly at the African Union. I've been give and take with the AU around 9 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite a long journey, and particularly what I find more or less remarkable is actually the start, how it all started. I was actually still doing my master's program outside of Ethiopia. I was doing my master's in Germany, and I came home for holiday break. And by some coincidence, I met a group of young people who appeared to be very dynamic, energetic, and engaged, who say they are working on a project for the African Union for the Youth Charter. And I met them at a movie theater, actually by a mere coincidence, who came to watch a movie after, they say, having had a long day of brainstorming and co-creation. And I just started a conversation randomly. I didn't know anybody in that group, and started saying, who are you, where you guys are from, particularly since many of them were from different African countries. So obviously I picked that they're not Ethiopian. So I just started a conversation, and then they casually say like, oh, why don't you join us in one of the workshops? And that was held at the UNFPA at the time. And I said like, sure, why not? And the next day I went there and was engaged with all ideas, and it was so exciting how actually to see young people sitting. And at the time, they were designing what would be the African Union Youth Volunteer Corps. So they were developing concept notes, manuals, recruitment guides, and what have you, and so on. And by the end of the 2-day session, I actually just volunteered to be part of it. The head of the liaison just asked me, why don't you do an internship with us for 3 months? And that actually coincided very well with my stay in Addis for the break, as I mentioned already. And I took it. I loved it, which then led to extension into actually secondment contract. And with that, I even abandoned my master's degree that I was pursuing in Germany. I just went back to collect my forks and knives that I had left there and deregister from the apartment and come back and be part of it. Now, why I'm mentioning this partly is that since then, actually, I never had regrets, or I didn't look back. I never thought I would be working for the African Union or the UN or similar organizations.
Mm. It's such an interesting story. I mean, it's just fascinating. There's so much to unpack. I could do an entire episode just on on things from just that story of how you came here, and it was such serendipity for you to run into. I mean, my take home is I need to go to movie theaters more and speak to people there, and for you to for you to find yourself in this space, in just those very simple steps of speaking to people who seem they came from outside the country, and really just coming to the table yourself and saying, I want to help, I want to help out, I want to do something. And even sustaining to the point where now that program that you helped to develop, you are coordinating that entire program. I want to just deviate a bit and let's speak to what does that translate to for young people today. So it's a two-part question. So what do you think about the landscape opportunities for young people to volunteer and basically volunteer meaningfully in a way that it really enriches them? And also, do you think young people have today, in your opinion, from what you've seen, have what it takes, have that spirit, and are able to come to the table also expecting to just contribute their skill sets?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, even more, I believe, in fact, it makes me sound almost like an old person thinking how much a decade can of change can bring. And I'm saying that because when I first joined the AU, I was perhaps the youngest, so to speak, at that level officer who was engaged at the level of programming. And oftentimes, even I remember vaguely going to different offices, no matter which meeting you sit in, no matter who your counterpart is, any door you knock, the average person you see there is with a gray hair and an older person who at times even is antagonistic towards young people or the idea of youth. And in fact, I have heard it on several occasions, more than once, where people told me like, "Oh, this volunteer program you guys are cooking there, a group of young people, wouldn't see a day of light. You don't know how the AU works. You don't know how decisions are made here and stuff like that. There are so many nice projects. They're just sitting, collecting dust on the shelf. It was just a matter of time before this project also would join those initiatives there." And actually, that even hardened me more. I'm actually, by nature, somebody I consider myself a very stubborn person. The more you tell me something is not doable, that's when I actually get perhaps more motivated and challenged to do it. And little that they know that they were actually unleashing in me that desire to actually prove them wrong and otherwise. And in fact, it was even a common joke around that time when people used to refer to me as somebody's child, maybe, and I got lost in the corridors. Maybe I'm looking for my parents somewhere because they didn't think actually a young person would be working at the African Union. And actually, it sounds almost anecdotal today because anywhere you look around the African Union today, it's almost impossible not to notice a young person. With regards to if this opportunity still exists, I would say absolutely yes. Because just this year we had a call for application, as we do every year for young people to apply. Like every year, we receive about 10,000 applications. And I want to believe a lot of those young people applying are actually willing to volunteer their time and skills and also give back something.
I think it's very interesting when you speak about that responsibility, and there's a nobility in what you're saying. Like there's something towards a higher calling, and young people realizing that yes, we want to make money and we want to go have jobs and have businesses and so on and so forth. But you're also calling young people to also realize a sense of responsibility as well. to the continent and contributing to the continent. So in this vein, I want to ask, on the flip side, what is our counterpart contribution as the African Union to these young people when we call them to look after the continent and volunteer their time and their resources? What are we providing to these young people? How can we do better for young people in Africa?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's why organizations like the African Union actually even exist. It's that space and that responsibility. And rightfully so, young people would also be asking, what is the role of the AU? What is the you doing for us as young people or as citizens of this continent? And I think the one thing, first and foremost, what the AU is accredited or responsible for is working around the area of the enabling environment in any aspect of promoting, whether it's employment, businesses, volunteerism. So in this space, let me touch maybe since I started, we're talking about volunteerism a little bit. In the space of volunteerism, for example, the African Union this year developed continental volunteer standards to help now replicate the same success that the AUC had at the commission level with the AU Youth Volunteer Program, and say there are countries on our continent who do have national volunteer schemes, a national volunteer program, but there are also more than half of the AU member states who do not have any such mechanisms, policies, or programs in place. And for us to say, like, look, here is a mechanism, here is a strategy, a structure. Can you implement this in your country so that you can open opportunities for young people? Because there's so much that the AU can do in terms of direct employment benefits, because the organization at most can hire X number of people. Even the initiative that we have currently running at the African Union, you might have heard about it, the 1 million by 2021, not you, Amanda, but I mean our audience. The 1 million by 2021.
Yes, I have heard about it.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Just checking. Is that we are talking about 1 million young people, right? And to compare that, we have about, depending on the statistics that you use, maybe 400 million young people on the continent. You would see very quickly that this is just a drop in the ocean or in the bucket. So it's to say now, the opportunities have to be created all over the continent, in every corner, in every city, community, society, village level, that such opportunities need to be created for young people to engage, because 400 million people, or the entire 1 point something billion people on the continent, is just a huge number.
I think a common thread in all the conversations we've been having with colleagues in this series is that I think we're all very clear that the AU sits at the level of creating that enabling environment and providing evidence and knowledge and putting a platform to bring people together. And I think it's a really important takeaway for our listeners to understand, because we often get, what is the AU doing about ABCDE? And it's really important for us to also clarify where we sit. So it's a very important distinction. Thank you very much, Daniel. I think before we let you go, we have something we call the quick fire round, where I just ask you questions very quickly and you answer me in a sentence, or even less, in a phrase. And I reserve the right to follow up if you give me an answer that I feel that we need to probe a bit more.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask you a few questions, just rapidly answer, and we get the sense of where you are with some of these things. So my first question is, how would you explain your job to a 5-year-old? This is a very difficult one for everybody.
I would say okay, let me say I help people volunteer.
You help people volunteer. I mean, if I'm asking you, so what is volunteer? What do you mean?
Okay, I help people give back to the community.
Okay, I think I would understand that if I were 5. I feel like I would understand it. Okay, so my next question: what is the most rewarding part of your job in one sentence?
Uh, I would say the continental influence
Hmm.
is the most rewarding part. Yeah.
Hmm. My third question: what's the most surprising thing about working with young people?
I think the never-ending, what you call it, the never-ending stream of ideas
Hmm.
and energy from young people. Yeah.
Hmm. Yes, that is true. Number four: what are you currently reading?
It's a book called The Leadership Challenge.
Hmm. Interesting. Can you tell us a bit about what it's about?
Okay, so The Leadership Challenge is one of the very first books that was written around leadership from around the 70s, but has entered into its seventh edition.
Hmm.
So it's has been one of the best sellers in leadership because it looks at 360 angle of leadership,
Hmm.
whereby you not only focus in terms of leadership in a classic form of uh, how do you call it, the workspace or career orientation alone, but
Hmm.
also how you balance yourself as a human being in terms of where you find an equilibrium between your personal development and growth, be it in academia, be it in your spirituality. How do you balance your family life and you are
Hmm.
that spouse, that parent, that brother, that sister, that your family needs you, ensuring that your friendships are also intact, you don't abandon them, and you don't think, and how do you derive that 360 basic angle of leadership, and
Hmm.
um, how do you call it, elevate and grow in that space collectively. So it's only when you're balanced in every aspect that you're actually a true leader.
This sounds like a book I want to read. So we have to put the name of the book in the description as well, so that everyone else can take that recommendation.
Highly
And
recommended. Highly
my
recommended.
I'm going to come steal your copy. And my final question is this one: what is the one thing you would say to young people out there trying to make their way through life? What gem of wisdom do you pass down to them?
I would say that being curious and searching and stumbling and making mistakes does not mean that you are lost.
Hmm.
And it's something I also discovered as a young person. Initially, you are lost because you're trying to get your feet on the ground and you always are
Hmm.
worried constantly if you'd make it in life, if you'd get that job you want, if you'd find that spouse that you need to get, if you buy that house
Hmm.
or that car or whatever it is. And there's so much pressure. Unfortunately, when you are a young person, particularly coming out of education system or just leaving your parents' house, there's a lot of pressure on you and a lot of questions and
Hmm.
little answers. And I would say that is normal and that is okay. And that all those things would clarify and you'd look back at that journey as something that has shaped your life and something that was meaningful and you are proud of. So embrace your usefulness, embrace this time of curiosity, of doubt,
Hmm.
of insecurity, and try to make the most out of it while you are still young and have that opportunity. Yeah, I guess that's
Thank you
all.
so very thank you so very much, Daniel. I mean, there's so many other things that I feel like we need to get into, and hopefully we'll have time to sit together again and record part two of our conversation. But thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Thank you, Danny, and thank you to everyone listening. And we'll see you next time. Bye.